thinking about it, most of the time,
exchange business cards.
when
What
people
do
say
you
it's
do?
networking, like you're both not doing anything.
No, you hand business cards like, oh, cool, I got a guy
cool.
who can build a fence for me.
Exactly.
What do we talk about? How to become wealthy.
Yes.
What are the steps? How long does it take? What business are you doing? Because all skills are transferable between everything. You just didn't know you could do it yet. What was hard today is easy 10 days from now once you have the knowledge to do it.
Once you have the knowledge,
This is the stuff that we talked about that night.
Yes.
We talked for 4 hours.
It was more than 4 hours, man. I think it was more than 4 hours.
Yeah, because we left after midnight.
Dude,
I was only going to be there.
I think we left like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Because we were talking like,
It was like 1:30.
Because we were going to leave at 9:30.
Yes, exactly. He kept saying, "Are we good?" And he kept saying, "Yeah, we're good. We're good for time."
So,
And honestly, that's when I knew that, because a lot of people, they just talk, right? They talk about things, they don't have real passion for it. And I knew that you were different when we had the conversations, because first of all, the things you said I've heard before, but I've only heard from very successful people, right? And it was natural to you. This is something that, it's not something that it wasn't a persona you're exemplifying. It was who you were. You were just talking.
I don't know how to put a,
you know
put
what
a
I mean?
mask on.
You were
hear
just
it one
simply
way.
you were simply just talking, and you were giving us advice, and you're giving us information based off of the experience that you have, and the person that you are. So it wasn't anything else other than that. And you just kept going. Where most people got tired, I would see, we were all in our 20s, right? And you see people in the back, the other people in the back, they were getting tired, they're getting sleepy because we've been almost 4 or 5 hours, and you just didn't even yawn once. You were on it. You didn't even show an ounce of, oh, I'm getting a little bit tired. You just kept, like, it stopped for 3 seconds, then you bring up another topic. Stop for 3 seconds. And me, I'm here.
When you love this life, man, when you love the entrepreneur life,
then tiredness isn't a thing. You're just,
it's not a thing.
You're fueled. You're excited. You're fueled by your excitement that you just want to keep
work.
You want to keep going forever. Yeah. So even me, I'm like, this guy won't stop, but I love it. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going. And everyone else was like, oh, like they're sitting back. People were yawning. They're looking at their time. They're looking at this, and you were laser focused. And that's when I knew that there's not a lot of people that I know in my life who can give me advice and who give me information and who's genuinely serious about the information that they give. And that's when I'm like, this guy, I'm gonna listen to what he says, because I can see that it's coming from a genuine place of care. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, you're right. It was definitely not now that I think back, it wasn't a networking event, because most networking events that you go to, most people don't even have the information that you need anyways.
They don't know the right questions to ask.
They don't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah. Because they're not there yet. That's unfortunate. You
exactly.
Don't know since you're not up here, you don't know the right question to ask. But once you get up here, you already have the answer.
Exactly.
It's a really weird circle.
And it's not a networking event if it's one-sided.
It's true.
If you're the only one giving the information to everybody, it's not really networking. You're not providing information. You're guiding. You're teaching people. It's not networking. Networking is an exchange of information, an exchange of value. But if you had nothing to gain from us and we had everything to gain from you, then it was just an event that we went to where we met somebody who can give us information. And you know what I mean.
At the same time, I don't know where you guys would be a benefit in the future, whether you are or not. I'm like any other investment. Any entrepreneur knows you front load your investments with your time and your money. I'm giving you my time. I don't know what the result will be, but maybe later on down the road, I can use you to better my situation.
Exactly.
I'm willing to front load that. I don't need to see a result at the end of that night, at the end of that week, at the end of that month. I don't need a paycheck from you.
Yes.
But if you become the next millionaire in the group, all of a sudden we can do bigger and bigger things together. So it's not, on the surface, it's not networking, but it's future. It's putting the chips in the bag.
It's sowing the seeds of what could potentially be, and that's what entrepreneurship really is, to be honest with you. Because, and that's what you can tell when someone is either entrepreneurially minded or not, because they want the results right away. Especially in the life and the world that we're in, right? Everybody wants things now. Everything has to be now. We're so used to it. It's how we grew up, right? If you want pizza, you get it in 10 minutes. Whatever you want, Chinese.
Yes, everything.
You want Chinese, you get it in 10. You don't
even have to get up and grab a phone book anymore.
You literally don't have to. You know what I mean? So everything we're used to that. So now if we're going into business, and if I'm not rich in 12 months, I don't want it anymore.
It's a failure.
I failed. I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's not there now, I can't have it. Whereas you can tell someone's entrepreneurially minded when they're giving you value and they're not even expecting anything back. They don't want anything back. You know what I mean?
Or it's not apparent yet because you guys haven't reached that level yet. You're taking what you need to get to a higher level. maybe that person can use you when you ascend to a level where now you're on almost an even playing field.
Exactly.
Or maybe you built something that they didn't have and you fill in their puzzle pieces, so they front loaded it.
It's a way better game.
Let me actually get an intro now, because he can cut all this in later, which is really cool, because this could actually be, he can cut this up and make it a 2-minute intro into the podcast.
That's actually really cool.
So, all right, we'll do it like this. All right, welcome back to the All I Ever Wanted podcast.
Hello.
We got a great one today.
Thank you.
It is. I don't know. We're not even putting the camera on you yet. Don't talk. It's me. I'm important. We've actually been going back and forth now for like 10, 15 minutes. We're going to cut a little bit of that stuff in because it was gold. You know what? I'm not even going to wait. I'm not going to do some fancy intro. I'm going to kick it over to our guest real quick. He's going to tell you who he is, why he's here, and then I'm going to tell you why I had invited him originally. So let's kick it over to my guest, George. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I actually want to hear why you invited me over. I do want to hear that. But hello, guys. So my name is George. I'm 23 years old. Believe it or not, people say that they think I'm a little bit older. But no, I'm 23. And what I do. So basically, I am somebody who, right now, I do a bunch of different things. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not working a real job.
No one ever does. Like, and this is the thing. People ask me, so what do you do? And I say, I don't know. I've never done one thing.
Exactly.
I'm not an employee.
No.
I don't have a job description. They didn't hand me an employment contract that says, you scrub lettuce.
Yes.
I'm not. I have nothing against people that scrub lettuce. I like the burger. I'm using it as an example as that person can say exactly what their job is.
It's easier.
You know, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because they don't have one thing they do. They're always maximizing their time, their effort. But I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to kick it back.
Exactly.
So you don't know. You can't define what you do.
I can't define it.
How would you define your mindset going about what you do?
I see myself as someone who wants to achieve and create.
Okay.
Right? My name is George. People call me Curious George. And very recently I started embracing the name Curious George because there's honestly something nice about it, right? There's a curiosity. I'm very curious about what could be. That's why when we first met, I had so many questions for you. And even after, like the day after, people kept asking me, like, George, how did you have so many questions? There's so much that I want to know. There's so much in this world that we don't know. And you can only make the best decisions with the information that you have. So if you don't have the information, your actions are limited. So that's why I have all these questions. So back to what I do. So, well, it was a lot easier when I worked at a car dealership. So I used to work at a car dealership, and I worked there for about a year or two. It was fantastic. I want to talk about sales with you later because I think sales is probably the biggest thing that I've learned. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just when you taper off to the side.
Okay, yeah. But I think sales is the biggest thing that I learned in my very young life. But I left there, and now I just do different things. I like to call it real estate. That's the word I use because I do have a few properties that I take care of, and then I have the Airbnb business as well. So I do a bunch of different things, but that's not what defines me. What defines me is my ambition, is my mindset. I think so. The willingness to always learn. That no matter where I am in the room, I think we talked about this earlier, I'm always looking to learn from the people. No matter how much you know, you could be whoever, it doesn't matter. You could be a billionaire, you could be someone. There's always something that you have to offer for me that I can learn because I can use that information. And I think we definitely did talk about this. I can use that information coupled with the information that I have and then kind of have a debate with myself in my head. Okay, so this is what he's saying, this is what I know. How much is this? How much of this can I use? And then I try it out and then I learn from there. Right.
Adding a % of what someone says to your life is only going to better you. You don't have to be a duplicate of whoever told you.
Exactly.
We don't need a bunch of robots walking around.
And
wealthy people they're not cookie cutter. What they've done is to get where they are, they take the best piece of knowledge from 100 different people in better positions than themselves and add that to their life, being the best version of themselves, not being a duplicate of their role model.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing that's happening right now, especially in our age, where there's so much information out there. There's so many things happening out there that we just take it and we become that information. So we take it, we don't analyze it, we don't think about where it's coming from. The person who told me this, what is his intent in telling me and giving me this information? They just take it and then they just act. Now you have a bunch of robots, a bunch of like Andrew Tate-esque kind of people where they just get that information, they just spew it back. They just,
without processing,
without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not what success is. Success is getting the information because everybody's unique. I have a skill that you don't have, you have a skill that I don't have. Everybody has skills that we don't have. It's when you can utilize the skills that you have to the best of their capabilities that you become.
let me interject here real quick. He wasn't picking on anyone around Andrew Tate. What he's saying is Andrew Tate has a message. If all you do is take that, what he says, and just regurgitate it, you're not actually listening to what the person who delivered the message said. Yeah, so we're not pro or con towards Andrew Tate's. Yeah, it has nothing to do. He just threw out a name.
Yeah.
It's what you do with the knowledge. Do you add that to your knowledge bank and then create something better for yourself, or do you just repeat what he or she said without knowing what it meant?
It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Warren Buffett. It could be whoever.
Yes.
If Warren Buffett gives you advice, listen to it. Yes, but is that what you want to do? Do you even want to be an investor, or do you utilize that information with what you enjoy doing and then use that principle? It's the principles of the things that they tell you. You know what I mean? The words you tell me, there's words, but there's also meanings and substance behind it. Right, you regurgitate that substance, and then you're like, okay, well, this is me. I'm George. What am I going to do with this information? How can I utilize this information to get me the furthest ahead? You know what I mean? And that's what I try to do in all my interactions. That's what I try to do with life, essentially. And so far, it's been a short journey, but it's been working. And people have been telling me that this is the best way to go about it, and I've been utilizing it. I've been looking at the world from this framework, from this perspective. And it's I want to say that I'm happier for it. It's a journey for sure. It's an adventure.
So let's get back to why I invited you on here. We had actually met about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Friend of ours, another entrepreneur, young, 24. You've probably seen him on the channel, Alec the Barber. He just kind of had a free haircut and car wash night.
Shout out to Alec.
Yeah, Alec, drive-in barbershop. Check it out. 100%. That's his Instagram. I think he's got some YouTube stuff.
Yes.
And, producer Mac will make sure to throw the links up. But what struck me the most is right off the bat, you had all these young entrepreneurs. One person asked a question. I don't remember who it was. And then you could tell who the young entrepreneurs were, because it made me not really uncomfortable, but I was just like, wow, there was 12 of you. We're in this small space, a barber shop. All of a sudden, there's 12 of you.
Took over that.
They're listening, and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not here for this. I was literally here just to support Alec. And then all of a sudden, it was questions about how do we do real estate? What are your thoughts on sales? What are your thoughts about relationships in your 20s? And I'm like, wow. I was going to be here for an hour, and we got there at 8. What did we say? We left at 1 in the morning kind of thing? It was
go home like
crazy.
2 o'clock.
Yeah, it was just the amount of knowledge that people wanted. They didn't ask for money. They didn't ask for anything other than time and knowledge, and they'd apply it to themselves. Some people got bored. You were there all the way till the end. But what struck me the most was how manicured is the wrong word. How manicured your dialogue was. How, I don't want to use the word eloquent because that sounds like some aristocratic bullshit. But the way you were talking for your age, the amount of knowledge that you've acquired at your age, and I don't like to segment people per age. I don't prejudge people, but when I give people the ability to talk, and if they're full of shit, put them in that category.
You can tell instantly.
And a lot of young people, because they'll regurgitate what they've heard successful people without, like you said, without understanding what they're saying, they'll be like, yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. You're absolutely right, it is. But do you know the fundamentals of a unit plus a unit equaling 2 units kind of thing? But the way you delivered your message different than everybody else, I wanted to know what got you to that point at only 23. I assumed you were in your late 20s. What got you to the point where you knew how to talk like that? And it was a respectful dialogue. It wasn't give me. It was let's build this dialogue into something we can both understand.
Exactly.
You could put into your portfolio of knowledge, and a portfolio is your life, not your stocks. You were interested in building up the dialogue level by level. Not you don't come to me and be like, so how do you be a millionaire? I don't know. How don't you? These are stupid, irrelevant questions that the average person will ask without, again, not forethinking.
That's true.
And I noticed the more we talked, the more you pre-thought about the questions you were asking. And you could almost see like you were formulating your own answers sometimes, so you'd alter the way you'd ask the question. You'd start asking and say, oh no, I already know, because I've engaged my brain.
Yes.
I'm answering questions that I couldn't do sitting alone by myself, but I started this dialogue.
Yes.
So here we are, 23 years old, please start back, because you've told me already. I want people to understand your history. You started with the car sales, but you quickly brushed that off. But I want people to understand you had the mentality early on. Good salespeople are an absolute asset, and really good salespeople, you're talking about the 1% again, make business happen for dominators. I was never good at sales. I always were in awe. I went through my 20s. I did very well. But the salespeople, what they could do in 6 to 12 months, what they did with their money afterwards, I found was stupid.
Yes.
But their ability to generate revenue, knowing how to deliver a message. So please, let's go all the way back to that, because I want our viewers to hear. Maybe that was just a small speck of your life so far, but please detail how quickly you ascended up that ladder and the decision you made to leave behind what would be lucrative to others, but was minimal for your mindset.
Yes.
Let's go.
And people actually, before I get into that, people actually called me dumb for making a decision of leaving the car industry.
Five-figure people thought you were dumb,
like,
didn't
what
they?
are you doing? You know what I mean? But how it started was, first it was university. That's actually how it started. So I did go to university. I was in my second year. Right, and I think, and most people wouldn't agree, but I would say this doesn't matter. I think COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me, for my situation, because before that, I would, like, believe it or not, I played video games for 12 hours a day. I had a PS4 and I played. I was probably one of the best gamers in the city. Anybody can challenge me. I played and I was happy about it. See the way I'm bragging? That's how I bragged about it. And then it came to a point where I think my mom came to my room and she was like, George, like, you always told me that you want to do something big. You've been saying this since you were like 4 years old. Like, is this what you're gonna do forever? And it really hit me at that point. Is this what I'm going to be doing? Because the people I was playing with, they were 30s, like legit. The stories you hear, people live in their parents' basement and doing all
we make jokes all the time.
Exactly, but like I was actually playing with these people, and then it came to a point where like, is this what I really want to do? So then a buddy of mine, I was like, it's COVID. I have nothing but time. School's closed, so I'm not even going to school. So I'm at home. Let me see what I can do. So a friend of mine, he said, there's this book I'm reading. I think you should read it too. I read it. I don't recommend the book for everyone. The book was called Unshakable by Tony Robbins. But the biggest thing that I got from, I literally don't remember 90% of the book, but only I don't remember 95% of it, but the 5% stuck with me to this day. It talked about, you have two lawyers, the exact same scenarios for both of them. Okay. Same, 2 kids, wife, you know what I mean? The same age, the same background growing up, the same schooling history. Why one is making $1 million a year, the other one's making $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year? Why? And he said, and think in the book it said, think about this before you answer. And I was like, why? And I didn't know the answer. And then he was like, their mindset. As soon as that word was said, mindset, my whole paradigm shifted. I think that was the first one I ever had in my entire life.
And people don't respect that word enough because it's just
don't.
thrown around.
It's thrown around.
Change your mindset. Okay, I'll do that. But what does that actually mean?
They don't understand the weight. And I'm literally getting
massive amount of weight
talking about the weight behind the mindset, because the mindset dictates how it's literally like, it's your filter. That's what it is. It's a filter in which you perceive information. You know what I mean? And when I realized that my filter was horrible, can I swear here? No.
Yeah, produce
I'll just say horrible. I'll stick with horrible. It's a good word to use anyways. My filter was disgusting. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, like if I really want to be successful,
it wasn't worthy of your dreams and aspirations.
No, it was not even close. And I was like, well, if I want to be successful, I have to audit every single thing that goes on up here to see if it is worthy of the success that I desire. Mm-hmm. So then let me skip. So that's what happened. So that's how it started. And then as soon as I read that book, I started reading a book a month. Literally, I just read through. I had time. The first day I quit my PS4, I used to play 12 hours a day. So now I didn't play. It'd be like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do for the rest of the day? What am I going to do?
There you go.
Yeah, but I literally had that day. I'm like, okay, mom, my PS4 is off. I sat in my room. I'm like, okay, what now? I literally like this. My plan is this. Now what else? So I started reading a book. And then from these books, I started getting into books about real estate. So then the first thing that happened was we moved out of our house and my parents wanted to sell the house. So I was like, you know what, like instead of selling it, why don't we just rent this property out and have some income coming in, and then we could build equity from this house. And my parents were like, George, you're 19 years old. What do you know about investing, about real estate? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, keep in mind, this was the first time I've actually ever had a entrepreneurial move ever. So they were confused as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I literally had to pitch them. I sat them down. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. Give me the chance. If it doesn't work, we'll sell it. But give me a chance. We moved out. We have a month to get it filled out. And long story short, that was done. We had a tenant in there. We never had a problem. And people ask me, George, how did you do it? I literally read a book, right? I think it was called Real Estate Investing with Zero No Money Down, or rental property investing, something like that. I read the book. The book literally said, step 1, do this. Step 2,
Yeah.
Step 3.
It's too big for
It's
me.
too
I
big,
can't do this.
That's all I did. I literally highlighted it, did it, and it worked perfectly. You know what I mean? So then that happened. So now we're in September. We go back to school. And I spent the last 6 months just reading. And I was like, I've learned more in the last 6 months than I ever have in school ever.
Now,
this is not worth it.
Before we get too far down this, so people don't pre-think what you're trying to say, are you saying don't go to school? Or are you saying in your situation you realize schooling
School is very situational. Right? It depends on what you want to do.
He's not saying school isn't needed.
I'm not
Trust
saying
me,
that.
I want my
Like,
doctor or
doctors to
surgeon.
go in school.
Yes, please.
Do what you want to do. Because I'm still 23. There's still people my age who are in school right now.
Yeah.
I have friends who are in school right now, and I don't disrespect them. I don't see any of them because I respect them.
Yes.
I have friends who want to be psychologists, doctors, nurses, and they love it. That's their passion. It wasn't mine.
Yeah, you would never try correcting them with your path.
Why would I want to fix somebody else's philosophies when they're happy and their life is going the way they want it to?
Look at that.
You know what I mean? It's about what you want to do. If you're not happy with what you want to do and you're spending $20,000 a year and you're not happy, that's not smart. No. If you're happy, power to you. We can be happy together in our own separate ventures. Absolutely. You know what I mean? You don't have to be an entrepreneur. I would like. That's not why we're friends. We're friends because you like something, I like something. We can bond over the mutual respect of the things that we like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. So it wasn't for me. I was like, I want to get into law school. The reason I wanted to get into law school, and every time I thought about it, it scared me a little bit about law school. I had a fear, and I'll talk about this quickly. So the reason that I decided. You smacked it. But the reason I decided not to go to law school is because I had a friend who was in my classes. She averaged a 98% on everything. And I'm here with a 70, 80s, and I'm thinking I'm doing well. And I asked her, how come you're... And when she had a 98, she would be upset. And I'm like, why do you get upset? She was like, because I want to be the best. Even when I'm at home, all I do is study. And then I realized, if I want to be a lawyer, I'm going to be competing with people like her. And then I asked myself, is that something that excites me? Does that competition excite me? And I was like, no. I would hate that life. And then I'm like, I can't be a lawyer. That's not me. Because I can't obsess over it. You need to find something to obsess over, no matter what it is. That you spend every waking moment thinking about that you want to be. The best doctors in the world, all they think about is the procedures, the surgical procedures. That's all they think about. Yeah. How can I make this better? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can I adjust this? How can I be? And that's the doctors that you want. Not the doctor that says, oh, I hate my life. I don't want to be a doctor. Then don't be a doctor. Yeah. You know what I mean, right? So so when I went back to school, I was like, well, this is not really for me. They forced me to take Greek. I had to take Greek. I spent $2,000 on that course. I hated it. I'm like, I just wasted $2,000.
Greek or Latin?
Sorry, Latin. Sorry, yes, it was Latin.
Sorry, I got a bit of a background.
Yeah. So, and at the end of the semester, like, mind you, I finished with, like, that semester, I had, like, a 90%. I had the best semester ever. Why? Because of all the books I read. So my brains were now developed. So I went back to school with a better foundation, and I was doing amazing, but I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So then I had to, and mind you, I'm Nigerian, right? So my parents are doctor, lawyer, engineer, right? So it took me almost 3-4 months to tell them that this is not the way I want to go.
Ooh.
Yes, that was a discussion.
Can we circle back? When did they come over to Canada?
They've been here. So they came 2008. We all came 2008.
During the world collapse.
Yes.
You guys came to the...
So and then we lived in Toronto. And we just moved from apartment to apartment when we were in Toronto. And then we moved here, I think 2013 or 2014. And we came here.
The second slump in the economy.
Yes. And honestly, like, I always got upset with my parents for moving us so much, right? And even to moving us from Toronto, a place that's vibrant, lots of people, had lots of friends there, to now Edmonton. What the heck is Edmonton? I was so upset with them. But now, in retrospect, seeing where all my friends are versus where I am, I'm grateful. People that are stuck. I do want to, like, this actually brings up a topic. I want to start going. I went to Toronto a couple months ago, and my friends that I grew up with, none of them are, not a single person that I met there is doing something that they want to do. None of them. Zero.
Oh, that's not a life.
They're all engineers and nurses. Why? Because in our community, you can't do anything else because everybody else will see you as a failure. You know what I mean? So you literally cannot escape, because I have people who've tried to escape and their parents literally said, I will disown you if you don't go to school.
You are not representing.
You're not representing
us
exactly. Wow. It's crazy. So now me coming out here, because I wasn't part of that group, because we came here, I can now do these things because nobody will know. You know what I mean? The parents, the aunts won't talk. You see what I mean, right? So it was a very big thing. And then convincing them was a whole other story. But it wasn't something that I had to like coerce them or fight. It was like, okay, if I am, and this is how I thought about it, if I'm truly meant to be more, I need to convince them. These are the first people I need to convince. You know what I mean? And if I'm truly meant to do this, then I will find a way to do so. And the thing is, my parents, it's not like they love me. They want what's best for me, but they don't know what is best because times have changed. You know
they
what I mean?
only know the old school way of thinking, which was get your professional designation, and at least you'll always doing better than average.
Exactly. So that's all they knew. So I'm like, okay, now it's up to me now. I'm going to take this burden upon myself to show them that there's a whole nother world out there where things like this is possible. So skip forward to December. I did it, but I didn't have a plan. Zero.
December of that year or December of last year?
December of that year. So this would have been 2020. When did COVID?
So COVID was end of March 2020 is when Canada had.
So it's 2021. End of 2020. End of 2020.
Going into 2021.
Going into 2021.
So we're already in lockdowns.
Exactly.
The world's crying about this.
And I said,
about
and
oppression.
I left, and I literally said, I'm leaving. I'm done. Like this is what I told them. I'm going to take a year off. And I'm gonna have goals. So the goals were like I'm gonna keep them vague because I don't remember them. But I think it was like make 6 figures in 1 year, have this much saved up, do this, do this, do this. I have 5 of them. If I accomplish it, then we'll talk about it. But if I don't, I can go back to school, right? So that's how that whole thing really started. So we went. I left the school, and then I'm like, okay, now what? What do I do? Like, what is the plan? I
can't play video games at that point.
I can't play video games because now people drop on this. They don't have a plan, right? And they just go and they mess about, they do whatever. I'm like, no, I've been given this chance by God himself. I'm going to take it and I have to do the best that I can with this choice that I've been given. I have to make the best of it. I'm literally not going to sleep until I find something. Give it 2 weeks, that's another story. But a friend of mine helped me get a job at a car dealership. And this was a very good dealership, Toyota Northwest Edmonton. Shout out to them because they changed my life completely.
Oh, and if for those of you who aren't in the area, big, massive sales, fleet sales.
One of the biggest Toyota dealerships in Western Canada.
Yep.
And it was the biggest growth happened within me in that dealership. I went in there, it was my first full-time job. I'm 21 years old. Everybody else is in their 30s and 40s. Keep in mind, like it's a pretty young, so it's 27 and up. Mm-hmm. So I was 21 years old, coming in, never worked at a full-time job before, and I was a kid. People were like, what is this kid doing here?
Yeah.
Right? But the way it happened,
this industry is going to spit him out.
It's going to spit him out. No one had, literally, like, the people there didn't believe that I would be sick. Even me sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'd look at that dealership and it looked like a monster. It looked like a dragon to me because it was so big. I didn't know what was possible. Like, this is too big for me, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go every single day. I'm going to quit when I get fired, is what I said to myself.
Nice.
When I get fired is when I'll quit because I know that it wasn't meant for me. And quick story, the person who hired me, he was going to go to law school and then he dropped out to become a man, to get into the car sales.
Wow.
So when I told him that story, he's like, you have the same story as me. He's 2 years older than me, killing it, absolutely dominant. He's a GSM now, so he runs his own dealership now at 25 years old. Massive. If
you people aren't in the car world, you don't understand finances, you don't understand commissions and all that. Let's just say this. I don't know this person, but I know that position. You do not want for money at that point.
No, you don't. Money is not.
You just have to be smart enough to know what you do with your money.
Exactly. No, he's set for life. And the thing is, like, he worked for it. He was a very smart guy. I have respect.
Yeah,
I always
don't assume someone who's 25 hasn't worked for it.
Exactly.
They just did it much more efficiently.
He didn't sleep for like 5 years. He just worked. Respect.
I get that. That's why I look like this now.
You're still young. You got it. You're good, man. And so then I started working there, and I spent 12 hours a day there at the dealership. I worked every single day, and quickly within that year, I ranked up to one of the best positions, I would say, by my estimation. I did better than I thought I would, right? So I had my first 6-figure year the first year in that industry, which is quite rare, to be honest with you. And that's when things started changing for me because now I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing fantastic. Money's not really a problem for a person my age. I'm making 6 figures. I'm only 21, 22 years old. Like this is life. This is life. But then I started having conversations with people who were in different tables than me, and that's when things started changing.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is. You see how, again, we don't script anything we ever do.
Oh, no.
He's already talking about the next table.
The next table. And the next table was 6 figures months. Those are the next tables. And these are people.
You never believed that.
I never thought it was possible. I heard about it, but I'm like,
that's not for me.
This is out there. That's there. That's out there. There's other people. That's for other people. Mm-hmm. That's people who already made it. Those are people who are older. They're 30, 40 making 6 figures. It's not for me.
30 older. Jesus.
Older than me.
What am I? Yeah.
Older than me. 25 is older than me. 27 is older than me.
There you go.
But you see how I'm saving it?
Keep saving it. All
I'm
right.
just saving it every single time. But then I started meeting these people, and I even met this guy. He's 19 years old, and I think he had a month where he made $300,000. Not in Canada, in the States, but it's an e-commerce business. And that's when I was like,
But e-commerce, does it matter what country you're in?
no,
Absolutely.
it doesn't.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
You can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So he could have been in India. He could have been anywhere doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's e-commerce.
It's the drive. It's
The
not your
business-
location. It's
He
not
was in the UK. His
Yeah.
business came from the States. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. You know what I
the
mean?
1% and the 5%
The one-
are always the same people in every generation.
Exactly. They'll succeed regardless of what the situation is. It doesn't matter what the situation is.
Sorry, I keep interrupting because you're saying stuff that I love hearing from someone your age, because you can see through the bullshit,
Yes.
the narratives that are pushed on young people, that there's something holding you back. There's always going to be this antagonist to whatever you do that's making it difficult in your life. The only thing that's difficult is that word you used earlier, mindset. It's too
Yes.
big for me. It's too much for me. I'm too young. I'm this. I'm that. I'm identified as this. No. You are what you wake up and look in the mirror. If you say that person's too weak to achieve, I guarantee you're right. But if you take no and turn it in, if you take the no in your head and turn it into what about maybe, all of a sudden
What
that
if?
maybe, what if? All of a sudden that becomes why can't I?
Exactly.
All those things that you used, doesn't matter what denomination, age, it's irrelevant when you start looking at the day as what could I do today, not what can't I do today.
Exactly. And it's like, honestly, like, realistically, like, there's always going to be people who are going to try to stop you from achieving your greatest self.
Are they?
Always.
There are actually people out there, or they're just negative people?
Just negative people.
Okay, so they don't actually have the power
They
to
don't
stop.
have, exactly.
They have words.
Exactly.
They have
and I was going
doubt.
to get to that.
Yeah.
The power that they have over you is the power that you give them over you.
1,000%.
You know what I mean?
You hit that
you
right
give
on
them
the
the
head.
power. Once someone says something and you say, and you know yourself and you enough to know that this is not real. This is not, just because they said it doesn't mean it's reality, right? And that brings me to the point of okay, so we have all of that happened. So I worked at the dealership. That was fantastic.
Yeah, the
but honestly,
six-figure year, first year.
yeah, but
love
honestly,
hearing that.
those weren't the big deals to me. To be honest with you, all of that happens. People think, especially 23 6 figures, that's big. No,
It seems impressive to someone making 5 figures.
That's
But
true.
you just overcame what you thought you couldn't do. Now that's the easy thing to do.
Yeah, I want to shift gears a little bit because all of those were external factors.
Extra, okay?
Those are all external. What really changed was me. When you change internally, the external factors have no choice but to follow suit. No choice. That year where I started reading, I'm going to talk about what I do. I started meditating every single day. I started meditating and started reading. Those are two, and prayer. Those are the 3 biggest things I did that changed my life. Why? It changed the way I saw things. Now, when I meditate, I don't know if you meditate. You probably
I don't.
No, but when I started meditating, it really just helped me
I
mature.
do another word that starts with M that centers me and calms me down.
Anyways,
Cut.
but so I started doing that, and people ask me like, what really changed? And if you knew me like 4 years ago and you knew me now, you would see the change. I don't yell.
There is no point to yelling. If you're yelling, nobody's listening.
Exactly.
Trust me, I come from an Italian family.
Exactly.
It's always loud, nobody learns.
No one learns anything. 1,000%. And I really started thinking about. And when you asked me like, who did you have these conversations with, or like, how did you start thinking about this? I started having conversations with myself through meditation. So I'd be sitting down and literally just talk. I've had probably a decade worth of conversations in my own head, just conversations, talking to myself. And through that, I was able to figure out what is the right step for me and what isn't the right step for me. What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? You know what I mean? It really helped me build my solid foundation. To this day, I still do it every single morning. I have to. It centers me, right? And through that, I was able to mature into the person that I had to become to start achieving the 6-figure, this, that, all of that. But it all started with the foundation. You have to build the foundation. If you don't have the foundation, if your first goal is to make $100,000 a year, but you're not the kind of person that can handle $100,000 a year problems, you're never gonna make $100,000 a year.
Oh, see, and
right?
you're hitting so many points. Like if I was to just make videos about all these points, no one would listen because they'd be thinking I'm just judging where they are. I'm just gonna call it the average working class making $30,000 to $60,000 a year. They're so easy to judge everyone above them, all the tax brackets above them, the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the millionaires, the billionaires, the corporations. They're so easy to judge. But the only thing they've ever encountered in their life is 5-figure problems.
Yes.
They don't know what it's like to be that business owner that, it looks great when you see them on vacation or driving their 6-figure car. You didn't have the responsibilities of making sure all those employees had a job so they could feed their
The
families.
sleepless nights.
You weren't the one responsible for taking out that $500,000 loan that has to be paid every month, paid back. All the bullshit that goes into it, like you said, you hit it on the head. You've never seen six-figure problems.
No.
You've seen five-figure problems. They don't go away with six figures because you have to think differently, risk differently to get into the six figures, into the seven figures. And there's so many people that have just got these preconceived notions because social media tells them everyone above you is evil. Because it makes it easier for you to not achieve if you think that they had to do something bad to get up there. No, they got problems that you couldn't possibly understand.
You can't even fathom it. So when people say, "Oh, I wish I was
love
Elon,"
the fact that you said that.
I don't wish I was Elon. I wouldn't be able to handle those problems.
No,
I wouldn't
no.
be able to. I would crumble under the pressure. Just like some people crumble.
That's why there's
under
only one of him.
Exactly. That's just like some people crumble under the pressure that I'm in every single day. But I welcome it. Why? Because I know that if I can overcome that, what's on the other side of that?
Yep.
What's on the other side of the problems that you face every single day? Once you face them, no matter how hard they are, and I read this book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, fantastic book, and it literally just talks about that the things you think are the hardest things that are in front of you, that's the way, that's where the other, because in the other side of that are the
it's
things
the
that,
unknown.
Exactly.
You already know how to be broke. You
Exactly.
already know how to make. You already know how to be broke. You already know how to make entry level six figures. So you already know what that looks like. But if you hit something that's difficult, that's what separates the 95, 99% from the 5 or the 1%. Is
how you look
they
at it.
went the path of least resistance because they knew what the outcome was.
Which comes down to
you
mindset.
know what you already have.
Exactly.
Let's go through the difficult times because you already know how to. Like you said, you already know what six figures look like. That's your new safety net.
That's my new
that
standard.
used to be difficult. Now it's the norm.
That's the normal.
Let's knock down that next wall.
Yes.
We'll call it the target. Oh damn! Now that's 3/4 of seven figures a
Exactly.
year, and now that's now your new knowledge. That is now what's easy, and it's no longer difficult.
And now it comes with that target.
Target.
Oh, that
See
target.
how we use the right wording? Program your mind to understand where you're going.
Yes. But now with that target comes the problems
Yes.
that come with that.
Which is actually what you deal with. The revenue, like we discussed earlier, people think that you do things for money. No. Up here, you're not actually doing things for money anymore. You're doing the right processes, which yield higher revenue.
Exactly. It's just a byproduct of the problems that you're solving.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
You don't just get paid more because you want to.
No.
Most people
No.
up there aren't even paying themselves
it's a-
anymore because it's the pursuit of something new, something creative,
Exactly.
a legacy to build. But you can't explain that to people with average mindsets. They think it's greed. It is not greed. It's the strive, just that want, that desire to do the next level up.
That's true.
It may not even yield more revenue, but 2 more levels up might be an amount of revenue that now you call yourself retired, like we were discussing, and now you can dedicate your time to charity, traveling, all those things that everybody else would like to do, but they didn't want to cross through what's on the other side of that wall, those unknowns.
And we can unpack that a little bit because I've been thinking about this and I even thought about this yesterday. And when you say that word average, first of all, I hate that word. That's my enemy. The word average is my, honestly, like I get angry whenever I hear that word. Why? Because with average comes, the things that you want don't come with average. With the things that everybody wants don't come with average. If you want to have the best family ever, you can't be average because your average family is destroyed. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
So there's things that you have to do if you want to get the best in anything. Whatever, it doesn't even have to be wealth. Let's say you want to be spiritual. You can't be the average person if you want to be spiritual. You got to do more than the average person because you want to be able to have that connection with whatever you believe.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So when it comes to the word average, I think, and I thought about this long and hard last night. I think everybody faces 2 battles, and these 2 battles are internal. It's literally within themselves. It's the best and the greatest version of themselves, and it's a weak version of themselves, right? And what happens is they're battling this, but the weaker self always wins. Why? Because there's always all these things that are pressuring them, always all these external noises. Social media, especially social media. Social media is bad for this. It doesn't give you the time to really think. Because if anybody, like I challenge anybody, spend 1 month. 1 month no social media. I challenge anybody. 1 month no social media, and just every day, literally just sit down with yourself for 10 minutes and just talk. That's it. I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm not asking for any of that. All I'm saying is no social media, or even limited by even half. Literally just half. It'll change your life. Sit down with yourself and say, okay, I'm here sitting down. This literally the first thing I did when I started meditating. I literally sat down. I'm like, okay, this is meditation, I guess. I'm here sitting down. Hi.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to do. No one's ever done this. You live with yourself your entire life, and most people don't even sit down and literally ask themselves how they're feeling, or how.
Are you happy today, man?
Like, people don't even talk to themselves.
Yeah, because we would say that is something wrong with you in
That's
the head.
the weirdest thing ever. People don't have conversations with themselves. You have conversations with your family, but you're the only person you will be with for the rest of your life. Your parents will come and go. Your brother will come and go. Your wife will come and go. Your kids will come and go. But you will remain with yourself until the end. So why not know yourself?
Yeah, maybe there's a few people up there that you can have a conversation
exactly.
with. You never know what that says.
You don't know. That's crazy. It's crazy. Who knows what's up there? Who knows who's waiting to be unlocked in your own brain, and what that version of yourself can achieve for you and the people around you?
Or when you wake them. That one single person up that's in your head that should be your conscious thought, but you've gone too far into. Let's go back to that social media. And I actually don't have a problem with social media. It's what people do with it. It's just a stimuli. Your mindset determines what you see from it. Mm-hmm. The reason so many people go to social media is because they don't know how to start that dialogue with themselves. So they go online to figure out what they should be thinking about right now.
Exactly.
Because it's too difficult to make that connection between a thought and where I am.
Yes.
So I want to be told what I should be thinking right
exactly.
now. Yes, it's an escape from having to be inside your head and not have it cluttered. And that's a lot of people like to feel busy in their head, but they don't know how to separate it into a thought process.
And that's probably the biggest problem we're facing. Outside of everything else, I think that is because that's where you can. That journey is where wisdom lies, and the lack of wisdom is probably the biggest problem that we're having this day. Because what is wisdom? Wisdom is basically an understanding of things. You know what I mean?
Oh, life seems risky. What did we say before? The word risk is a factor of lack of knowledge.
Exactly, lack of information.
You know all your variables. You know all the knowledge getting into something. It's no longer risky.
It's no longer risky because you know what you're doing.
That's
you know the potential outcomes.
Yes, and from the outside, someone would be like, "This is why when you stepped to your parents and said, I don't want to go the professional route, designation route, I'm going to go this route." To them, they're like, "But you could fail, or you. How do you know that has a result?" Because to them, they didn't understand what was in your head, the knowledge you had acquired. To them, that was all risk. To you, it was like, I know I got ambition. And I'm acquiring knowledge at a rapid rate. It's no longer risky to me. And if I am wrong, I have this to fall back on.
Exactly.
You completed that circle where you had a contingency, but you had enough knowledge to take the next step forward. So to you, risk.
It wasn't a risk. It was another move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're gonna shift gears here. We could have gone on that last tangent for hours more if we wanted to. We can always do another podcast. Yeah. I want to hit a bunch of topics while we're here. This is kind of an offshoot. It may just be a small discussion, but I want to tell people how it is that you kind of introduced yourself. So we knew that we met through Alec and his little event there. That wasn't a networking event.
No.
People ask me, how do you network? And a lot of people think it's going to these network meetings. We made this You're Networking Wrong video months ago. People think networking is going to a networking event. Networking events are useless because they're thrown by someone who charges you to stand in a room with other like-minded individuals. Well, if you're a 5-figure person trying to be a 6 or 7-figure person, I guarantee you those people didn't show up to a mixer or a shaker or a networking meeting. The only person benefiting from that is the person who sold you the ticket for $50 or $100 to come to their meeting, so they look important, they made money off of you. We met. An entrepreneur always sees true networking as going anywhere where people would be that are higher than you. There's no ego in there. You can be very proud of what you do, but there's someone who knows more. There's someone who has more. There's always someone who can share. We could go on that for hours. But as we've been discussing for the last few weeks since meeting, we'd had that coffee a little while, or we went for cigars, and you discussed this, we're going to get into the real estate. We're going to bounce back to there. We got 3 or 4 more topics to discover, discuss, all those, go down those venues.
All of it.
But I want to point out a key thing to me when I'm looking for the people that we like to work with. What we did before this is because every week, we don't put this online because we don't think charity should be something you should be pat on the back for. Every week we go out and we go to the inner city and we feed hundreds of people lunch. we're not doing that so you know that we do it. I'm prefacing this discussion. When we were deciding what time to host this podcast, I was telling you my obligations before we could have this podcast in setting this time. And what I said is, we're going to be downtown in the inner city feeding the homeless population starting at 11:45. Then we discussed we can probably start this at about 1:30 kind of thing.
Yeah.
His first response wasn't, cool, I'll be there. It was, do you need some hands to help feed? This is the type of response I want to hear. Well, I want to see people who want to be the next successful version of themselves, whether that's financially or spiritually or whatever it is. I want to see that you're also good people, in that you have to understand that you have to support the community that you grew your wealth in. So the fact that he was willing to give more of his time, which again breaks apart from 9 to 5ers. They can't be out at 11. Preface this is Friday. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but this is a Friday. We're out feeding. I have to start cooking at 8 o'clock in the morning to feed hundreds of people at 11:30, 11:45. Again, that's not so you pat me on the back. It's an explanation of what goes into doing this weekly. If you're 9 to 5ing it, one, you don't even see us doing it. So, people are like, oh, well, we don't see wealthy people doing anything, so they must not. They don't post it on social media. No, we don't do things for your acknowledgement.
And then when you do post it, they attack you.
Yeah, exactly. This is why. So don't ever think that if you're an average person, don't think your opinion matters. Okay, you can have an opinion to help build your life, but do not judge other people. Where I'm actually going with this, because we keep going off on tangents, is the fact that this happens and you were able to even come to the podcast side of things because you're in the entrepreneur life. You set in your mind, I need these 2 or 3 hours. You made it longer by actually offering to come help us do what we're doing in the middle of your climb. You can't do this as an average person.
No.
But you also know the responsibility of that is you still owe yourself 4 hours. A lot of other people, if they were to take time off work to come help, oh no, I'm going to get paid anyways, and I'm going home at 4:30. I'll start again tomorrow. Entrepreneurs know that we just gave 4 hours to do this. I owe myself 4 hours tonight. Maybe it's 1 more hour tonight, 1 more hour over 4 different days.
That's crazy. You said exactly what I was thinking when I was
But this is my point.
Wow.
This, because I'm going to keep beating on that mindset thing. Like, you don't even need to respond to this. I'm telling you why I was absolutely sure 3 weeks ago when I met you that I wanted you on a podcast, because I've met enough people in the last 2.5 decades of this entrepreneur life. I know right off the first sentence that they say, whether they're someone that I want in my circle. These do not have to be all billionaires, because I know enough of them. I'm more interested in who's going to be the next millionaire, who's going to be the next multimillionaire, and who's going to be the next billionaire, because you don't intimidate me. We can work together to create great things.
Yes.
But I need the next generations of it to help me go do what we're doing. That's who I identified 3 weeks ago.
Thank you.
And look, I'm right again. Not because I'm arrogant, not because I guessed, because experience through knowledge is how we are sitting here. So if you want to add to that, cool, but I needed that 5 minutes to explain the type of people that we cultivate based on a mindset. I can't change your mind, but when you've made the decision to have a better mindset about what you see when you get up every day, then we can work together. It's not wealthy people's job, successful people's job, CEO's job to make you understand their point of view. You got to open your mind and stop reading the bullshit on here that we're the enemy before you're ever going to be in line to acquire the knowledge to do better for you, your family, your future, your generations, and the community around you.
100%. I do want to thank you first and foremost. And the reason I want to do that is because success, all of that, money aside, right? I truly think that we're all here to truly to make the world a better place in any way that we can. You know what I mean? I'm here. I've been blessed with a good health, right? I can I can get up in the morning and I can do whatever I want to do. I'm not stopped by anything. I'm not limited by anything, right? I want to be able to help as many people as possible. That's one of my goals in my life. And people say this all the time. Oh, I just want to help people. How? do you want to help people?
It's a great self-righteous thing to
it makes
say.
you feel good inside, but who are you really helping?
what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are the actions that you're doing?
Is that your goal? No,
Exactly.
An undefined goal when I'm 25, when I'm 45, when I'm 90.
Exactly.
I'm going to do better.
Yeah, no, do it now.
Yeah,
like
now is
and
the
to be
best
honest with you,
time.
like I have before this, I'd never done any. I've done charity events, but I've actually never gone out to feed people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as soon as you said, I think you said it a couple of weeks ago, I instantly felt regret. I'm like, you are 23 years old and you've never done this. How? Why? There's people out there who don't eat. There's people out there who get cold in the winter.
And it's cold today.
And
it
it's
was freezing
cold.
last night.
And I have never gone out and done it. How can I claim that I want to be successful and that I want to help people when even when I don't have the millions that I want to have, I still don't do it? If I don't do it now, who says that I'm going to do it later?
Let's take it back one step. In order to appreciate what you have to see who doesn't even have where you are.
Exactly.
North America is born into such a privileged world. Even if you're what you consider poor, there's somebody worse. And I'm not saying that your situation isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying take a step back and maybe consider that you're blessed to be where you are.
Be grateful.
I grew up, growing
Yes.
up, I thought my family was poor. Single mom, 3 boys. We didn't have new clothes, new toys, new stuff like that, and we were essentially living in a welfare community. My mom wasn't, but that's who we were with. I thought we were poor until I actually started working and I could build up my life. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta. Being born without money was not my fault. But that's
Exactly.
saying if I die without money, that's
That's your
absolutely
fault.
my fault.
Exactly.
But what I got to see was, and at the time I thought it was our family being poor because I only seen who had more than us. I never went anywhere to see people who had less than us.
Yes.
So anytime that we do these entrepreneur type ventures with people, I make sure, well, I don't make sure, I let them come to the realization that they should come out with us to feed in the community so they understand that no matter where they are in their climb, they're way ahead
Exactly.
of what ugly actually looks
Yes.
like.
Puts things into
having to
perspective.
work, yes, having to work a 14-hour day is something you should be grateful for.
Yes.
You don't have to work a 14-hour day. You get to work a 14-hour day so you can have a better future.
Exactly.
And your mindset will shift when you realize that. Some countries in the world, everything is taken from you the moment you get it. You're not allowed
Yes.
to own a business.
No.
So if you're an entrepreneur, you're struggling, you're working 14, 16, 18 hours a day. I was there. At the time, I hated it, but every time I saw the next level up,
I'm there right
I was
now.
like, my God, I'm blessed to have this opportunity,
Yes.
the health that you talked about, to work this 18-hour day so I don't have to be working in my 40s.
Exactly.
But you don't see it when you're in it.
No.
So, I'm going to actually break off of that one because another really important fact, we keep using the word health. You've said it, I've said it. The camera can see you clearly take care of yourself. Isn't it amazing how every time we have someone on here, the majority of them have different facets of their life, different aspects. What did we say before we started the podcast? You'll have some people with a healthy mind, unhealthy body, or a healthy looking body, and unhealthy mind. And success cannot come from that.
No. There's ingredients to it.
So you tell us, because I've already got my fitness channel and everything we do, how important is fitness in your life?
Very. I'm going to start with that. Very important. But actually, like it wasn't always the case, believe it or not.
Well, if you're playing video games for 12 hours a day, I guarantee you couldn't have been looking that great.
Brother, in high school, I was, I think, 240 pounds, 230. I was a big boy. I was a very big boy. It's something I really struggled with, to be honest with you. Like, I've been struggling with weight loss since I was like 12. I've always been the fat guy. I've always been the big guy. Always, my whole life. I always had to wear extra shirts and just do this every couple minutes just so no one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Always, right? And it come to a point where I'd be like, I'm tired of this. I'd lose a little bit of weight and then I gain it back. I lose a little, and this happened forever. I even have a picture. I think this was 2020 or 2021. After I started really reading, and I said to myself, this was 2021 actually, because I spent that year. I've built my mind. I'm like, okay, I've built my mind, but now that's only half of the battle. If I truly want to see if I've truly built my mind, now I have to use the same.
Is my mind strong enough to build the body?
Exactly.
Because your body follows your mind.
Yes. Can I use this philosophy to now build my body? I've been struggling, and even I said to myself, what's different about this time? Because you say you're gonna lose weight before. What's different is now my foundation. The person I've become through the things that I've done is not different. I'm going to use the examples and the proof of the things that I've accomplished and now towards this venture. I've stacked proof along the way. So now I'm coming from a place of experience in other avenues. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything else.
Absolutely.
You know, the disciplines you have in one thing can trickle over. Even if you are undisciplined in one thing, it's going to trickle over.
See, the word he used was discipline. I love that.
Yes.
Whether it's what you're doing or the dedication to doing it.
Yes.
Discipline is the biggest word towards success.
1,000%.
You can use discipline, commitment, whatever, but you have to hold yourself accountable. If you need someone else to hold you accountable, your failure started already.
Exactly. Yeah. Where does it go? Power flows where blame goes. So the person.
Never heard that.
Yes, I heard that a few days ago. It was the person. If you're always blaming somebody else, you're giving them the power over you.
Yeah.
So if you're blaming your parents for your upbringing, then they have the power over you. You know what I mean?
Or at least the situation did.
The situation. You know what I mean?
Because maybe your parents. Because I don't like blaming parents. Maybe your parents didn't have another choice to not be entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
They literally had to work to give you the opportunity. I get a lot of people. We started a lot of our programs because people were making excuses like our parents weren't wealthy, so we didn't know how.
The thing is, the fault. If you come from this perspective that everything is your fault, you blame yourself. Now the power is yours because now you can do something about that.
And you don't have to call it fault. You can just say the responsibility to change the situation also falls on you.
It may not be your fault, but it is your problem. So
thank you. Beautiful. That is the best quote coming out.
These are not my words. I've heard these. I'm not taking credit for these words at all. But I use them because they're powerful. Yeah. You know what I mean? It may not be your fault, but it is your problem. So now you have to deal with it. Because the only person that can deal with it is you. Because it is your problem. And no one cares that it is your problem. Because they're not affected by your problems. Only you are.
And this is the problem with the woke generation. They think they know who's caused every problem in the world.
Exactly.
And every time they hit a hard spot, they're like, I'm going to blame somebody else because I'm woke onto how the world actually works, how I'm oppressed, how I can't win.
Exactly.
Wake your ass up.
Wake up.
And realize that your problems in your life can only be solved by the mind in your life, which is yours.
Exactly. And if you live life in that perspective, you're always going to have problems for the rest of your life, and you're always going to be a victim to those problems because the world's never going to stop having problems.
Never.
But you have to be better at handling those problems as they come. Yeah. And that's how you build yourself. But back to the health situation. So that was happening to me for a very long time. And then it came to a point where, like, this is it. This is done. I'm tired of this. I want to really change my life. And within the last 2 years or so, I completely changed my diet. I used to eat 4, 5, 6 times a day. I used to have burgers. I used to eat everything under the sun. And it came to a point when I said to myself, if I really want to test the mind that I think that I've built, I have to test it against my body. Because your body is a reflection of your mind.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Your body is a reflection of the decisions that you've made. And your decisions that you've made are reflected upon the mind and the things that you think about and how you handle situations. So now I'm grateful because I've been on the other end of it, literally being on the obesity spectrum. Like, I have pictures of before and after and where I am now. And my mind is 10 times more clear. I'm more confident. I could literally and it's a kind of confidence that no one can take away from me because you could just look at yourself and know, I sculpted this. You know what I mean? I built this. I am the sculptor and I'm the sculpture at the same time. I am carving myself. And that's how I see health. So this is going to be a journey that I'm going to do forever. Health is probably the biggest thing.
Thank you. It's not when people call it like
a diet or a diet.
Yes, no, it is
your lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. You don't commit to it for a week or. This is the problem. People say I want to look better in 4 weeks. Well,
what about the fifth?
What about the fifth week? Just because you didn't have a competitive body at the end of week 4, you're done.
You're done?
Building this lifelong, like you said, sculpture.
Yes.
You don't know what it could be.
Exactly.
So if you've never been at your peak optimal performance or looks or something that makes you happy in the mirror, how do you know where you are in the process of becoming your ideal?
Exactly.
It may be 5 pounds at the beginning. Then you're like, oh shit, I crushed that. I think I could lose, and I'm not saying you have to lose weight. This is not body shaming. This is what people who are in the bodybuilding,
but
body
why
sculpting,
not?
Body betterment, we will look at it a certain way, but a lot of people, their first response is to be offended and go on the defensive. I don't care if someone else,
it's not going to
how
change my
they
life.
look. Exactly. How you look does not offend me. If you don't like this, fast forward it for a few minutes if you don't want to hear about physical visual. This isn't about being narcissistic. This isn't about being superficial. This is about what we want to create in our life.
I would say they should listen to this. You don't have to apply it, but listen.
Or agree with it. Yeah,
you don't have to agree with it, but listen, because if you truly want to have a better life, I'm not saying lose everything. I'm saying discipline yourself. Set restrictions within yourself, because even if you set a restriction that I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to eat this, or I'm not going to eat past 10 p.m. because you eat at 11 all the time,
or I'm not going to go out to eat as much.
Exactly.
You know what else? Forget about the way you look. All of a sudden your bank account is bigger.
Exactly.
You see,
it trickles over into how you do one thing is how you do everything else. It starts trickling over into other aspects of your life.
Coming back, like what he said earlier. It's not just about the visual losing weight. What does that mean?
And honestly, that's going to be a byproduct. The weight loss will just be a byproduct of the decisions you make in the meantime.
It is the revenue that you make on a body investment is the weight loss or the better aesthetic of a body.
Exactly. 1,000%. 1,000%. So I'm definitely a very big proponent of health, and not even just for yourself, for the people around you. If you want to live 10 years longer, that's the easiest way to do it. You'll instantly you'll live. Your lifespan will extend by almost 10 years if you lose 50 pounds, 20 pounds.
This is the tables we're talking about sitting at. If you want to make more revenue, you sit at the tables who have more revenue.
Yes.
You want to be in a better state physically, go sit at a table with a bunch of people who work out. You don't want to be the fat fucker at the table. You're going to be better. And now guess what? Now after we're done this, I'm going to invite him to one of our plate date episodes. He's going to come lift weights with me.
Yes. Oh, that'll be sick.
Where the right table can also be at the gym or at the squat rack or something like that.
Yes, that'd be sick.
Because I'm going to challenge you to do that too, and maybe you're going to challenge me, because we're going to want to beat each other.
Exactly.
Not to say I'm better than you, to say that, what did we just have on the last podcast?
Yes.
He kept saying, until someone showed me more could be done, I was doing what I thought was my max.
Yes.
I went and did my 8 to 12 reps.
He showed me I could do 16.
You couldn't do 13.
Exactly.
Why'd you stop at 12? Because a trainer told you to?
Yes.
What if you can do 40 and you've been stopping at 12 for the last 2 years?
Exactly.
Bang. I'm going to challenge you. You're going to in turn make me ask the questions. Have I even been challenging myself?
Yes.
How can I expect others to do better if I'm not doing better?
Exactly. I want to add something really quickly. And
Please do.
These are for the entrepreneurs out there. These are for the entrepreneurs. And this is one thing that I noticed when I lost the weight, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. I might get in trouble for this.
Can't get in trouble for it.
If my entrepreneur friends, the people, if you're fat, people don't trust you. I didn't know this.
Isn't that the truth?
I didn't know this. They don't trust you.
And it's not because you're
Someone
untrustworthy.
told me this last week.
Yep.
They don't trust fat people. Why? Because
Unless you're a chef.
Unless you're a chef.
Because your food can't be good if you're skinny.
Exactly. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. But they don't. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to get into the business rooms, how you look, how you present yourself is the first thing they look at, so they can tell. Once you walk into I'm not saying that because I've heard this on YouTube. Someone literally came to me and said, George, I've known you for about 6 months now. When I first met you, you were fat. I didn't trust you. They don't trust fat people because when you're fat, you lack self-discipline and you lack integrity. I can't trust that if something came down to it, that you would want to do what's best for everybody around you because you're selfish because of that. Intrinsically, you know what I mean? But when you lost weight, it showed that you had parameters, that you had discipline, that you had integrity, that you were somebody who would say something and then do it, and it shows in your body.
And even if this is the wrong thought process, what he's saying is you're always going to be judged by people looking at you.
Especially if you want to get to the higher tables.
Yes. So
always.
Well, it may not be fair to say that people will respect a sculpted body over a flabby one. It's a reality of the world.
It's subconsciously. Like, it's not something people choose to do. It's just, it's what happens in the back of their minds.
Yes. It's like when you go to a gym and you see a trainer who's 30, 40 pounds overweight.
Yes.
Do you want to train with them or do you want to train the person with the six-pack?
Exactly.
That person who's 30, 40 pounds overweight might actually be in an off season. Maybe they're the competitor who won the last show.
Exactly.
But this is what we do when we look at someone.
Exactly. And you can even take this back 100, 1,000 years to the Roman emperors and to kings. When you saw a king, let's say you were a king and you saw another king, you saw another emperor, and you saw that he was fat and flabby, you wanted to go to war with him because you knew that he couldn't handle business the way he could. That's why the best emperors and the best kings, they were all, because when you're sculpted, it meant that you went to war with your people. It meant that you were a hard man. It meant that you fought. So you were more respected. Even though they didn't like you, your enemies respected you because of the way your body was. Whereas if you let yourself go and doing all these things, those are the people that never lasted. Look at history. They never lasted the longest. They always were overthrown because they lacked discipline.
Steel sharpens steel. Marshmallows don't sharpen.
They don't sharpen. No, exactly.
I've tried. I've tried. A lot of marshmallows.
Exactly. So health is huge. Health is definitely huge.
I've even noticed, again, if you've been watching for a while, even just from the beginning of our podcast, we're basically the same height, and I was up in that 230, 240 pound range a couple times in my life. And just in delivering the message that I do, because I don't change. I'm me. I'm the most stoic person you're going to meet. You're never going to get a sugar-coated version. You're never going to get a more or less informed version of me. I'm always delivering the same message. It's very not candy-coated. It's very to the point. People started listening in the last 3 or 4 months when I look like this. No one listened 8 months ago, or a few people did when they were just searching out knowledge, but everybody else started listening more in the last 2 to 3 when I dropped below 10% body fat, and visually I look like someone with dedication. So I don't know more now.
No.
But I do realize that you are taken more seriously with a chiseled jaw, as a man with a chiseled jaw, a six-pack, big arms. I'm not saying it's fair.
Because you represent what they want to be. Physically,
that could be it. I'm only 5'9", but when I walk into a room, and everybody says it, I feel like I'm 6'6" because the way people are like, I need to listen to what this man.
Exactly. Who is this guy? Why is he so built?
Is it fair? Who knows? Fair is not a word that works in the world. There is either what is and what isn't. So until this utopic world comes about, you're going to have to realize that certain things are just the case, and I've noticed that. Quick break. Ooh, there we go.
There we go.
And I realized that drinking Diet Pop is not a good example to set. But I do it. It's my vice. Leave me alone.
Can I add one thing as well that I just...
Please do. We don't like dead space. If you were quiet, I'd be like, sorry, next. I got the wrong person.
So it was a really cool thing. I think when you start working towards health, and what I call is I'm not trying to lose weight. What I'm trying to do, and this has been my goal, and this is what I tell people. I'm trying to reach my genetic potential. That's what I like to say, my genetic potential. Why? Because as I get healthier, there are things within me that get unlocked. Same thing with your mindset. There are things within yourself that get unlocked that you never knew was possible, that give you the slight edge over everybody else. You know what I mean? Yep. I was always the overweight guy, but when I started losing weight, I started. I'm going to talk about my body a little bit here, but I started seeing muscles in my body that most people didn't even have, even when they were at my level. People were like, George, you have fantastic genetics. You have great genetics. And I never could have even known that when I was 240. I would have just been another fat guy. Yeah. But now, even my friends who compete, they're like, George, like, you can literally compete with us. If you literally if you did this and did a few more things, did a few more tweaks, you could literally be competing and you probably beat us. And that goes to anything else.
No, you do. You have a very well-rounded physique. You don't really have lagging parts. Like, as someone who's had to judge fitness bodybuilding contests, I can see who is genetically. It does not mean they can just step on stage because they're genetically gifted. Understand that winners weren't gifted with winning genetics. They were gifted with the genetics that if they apply the same effort all across the board, they will be the winner. This will be the second place. Exactly. You do not win because genetics gave you what could be the winning body.
And it goes to basketball too. Same thing. I don't know if it was Michael Jordan that said this or another very famous athlete. Even in tennis, you could be a horrible tennis player. You play with someone who's just equally as horrible. You lose, you stop, you never play again. But if you would have went and spent a year or 2 or 3 years training, because the person that you are, because of the way your body works, you could have built yourself to be just as good as anybody else. But you could have had that one more skill, that one slight edge that could have made you the best in the world. But you never realized it because you never took that step.
But that applies. But see how everything keeps circling back to the 1 or the 5%. The
yes.
moment you hit some roadblocks, some abrasiveness in life, you took the path of ease. Exactly. I didn't pick up how to play tennis the very first time that I went out. I'm going to pick another sport that I'm going to give up after the first day.
But who knows what you could have become?
10 lessons from now, your coach could have identified, oh my God, you got a wicked ass serve.
Exactly.
Your backhand is going to decimate people.
It will destroy people. And you would never even have known that. Ever. And that's why I tell people, like, even if it's like, for me, my goal was just to lose weight, but because of that, the other things that have come with it, because I've unlocked my genetic potential, so now different things that I'm thinking about, because of the things that I've done to get to where I am now, I can now use that and achieve different things that I didn't even think possible.
Yeah.
So it's a game that doesn't have any losses, because once you play that game and you get better at that game, the game just keeps getting better and better.
And are you hurting anyone or taking anything away from anyone else by bettering yourself visually?
No, I'm giving more
mentally?
because I'm showing people what's possible. Because people saw me when I was at 240. They see me who I am now. They're like, well, if you can do it, why the hell can't I do it?
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything from anybody. I'm just showing them what's possible.
And this is what, again, a lot of social media and society pushes. They will call you being proud of what you're doing fat shaming others, because they're just... They don't want to have to make a change in their life, so they're going to always find the negative of what someone else is doing.
And that's never.
I've
that's
never
not
heard you ever talk to someone and be like, "Man, you should go." Guys should hold our friends, should hold
accountable.
other guys accountable. And be like, "Well, jeans are a little too tight, my friend. I think it's
100%.
time you come to the gym."
Let's have a talk. Let's discuss.
have a
Let's
talk.
actually have a serious conversation about, because I care about you.
But
We're
as
friends.
I wouldn't walk up to someone I don't know.
No.
But at the same time, if you see me putting weight back on, George, you better for damn sure be like, "Chris, you're looking a little flabby from this
100%.
angle. Put a little more time in."
The first thing I'd ask you is like, what's going on? How is life? How's everything doing? Because it could be a reason outside of that's causing this. You know what I mean?
See, and I appreciate that approach, but I'd rather just be like, "Chris, you're fat again."
Okay.
Do something about it, because I don't want to have to guess what you're leading into with the nice way you're delivering it. You're doing it from more of a I care.
Yes.
Let's find out what's causing
this.
Yeah, let's peel off the Band-Aids to find out where the wound is instead of putting another Band-Aid on.
Exactly.
Which I appreciate, but I'm one of those.
Everyone's
I
different,
value
right?
my time.
Yes. Tell
Chris,
me.
you're getting fat. Again, I wouldn't do that to a stranger because it's
No.
not how you approach them.
And
But
honestly,
in our
like,
circles,
I don't really care.
No,
It's
exactly.
your life.
Until you come to me.
Exactly.
How many times you've actually seen it? Producer Mac is who I'm pointing
Okay.
at. People have just walked up in line and just started to be like, "I know this is really really awkward. Can you tell me how to do what you look like?" They don't actually know that I'm not like that all the time. I've only gotten myself to
Very
that
recently,
point.
yeah.
And they're just so driven to ask that question, "How do you look like that?" And I'm like, "Hey, why don't you just follow the channel? I've got a fitness channel, we've got a finance channel. I
Maybe you
guarantee
pick up a few things.
Maybe pick up a few things. Don't be me, but you can be the
you.
best version of you."
Exactly.
And it's so weird because most people come to me for financial advice, but over the last 2-3 months, people are coming up, "I want to sit at your table health-wise." Holy shit, cool. Of course you get my time.
100%.
They think they're
Yes.
interrupting me.
No,
And
you
I'm like,
want to.
hell
You
no.
want to.
I want you. I would never approach you to tell you to do something better about your life.
Because who are you to do that to them? Because you don't know them, right?
Yeah, maybe they're exactly where they want to be.
Exactly.
Maybe they I'm not even going to go into maybe
Yeah.
they. They could be exactly where they want to be. It is not my place to approach someone else. But if they come up to me and they are respecting what I've done and they're being courteous and respectful of my time, is it okay if I ask you for this? Oh, brother, my man,
I will spend the rest of my day. I will cancel plans.
yes.
I've done that before.
Because you
to
respectfully asked me
Exactly.
instead of took a shot at me or didn't.
Exactly.
I
And I want
respect that
to
in
help as many
people.
people as possible. So if someone comes to me and asks a question, and people have done that, and the crazy thing is people who are older than me have come to me and asked me questions, and that's when I knew that I was truly blessed.
Yeah.
I've been put in a position, because I'm Christian, so I'm very religious. So I've been put in a position by God Himself that allows me to help
Quick
people.
pause. I don't want to forget it. Mac, remind me to come back to this on respectful introductions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Because George is actually the reason I wanted to make a post a while ago, but I'll explain why after this. You're a
Let's
religious
remind him, 'cause I
person.
want to hear him.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But I'm a very religious person, so I never want to be in a place of arrogance, and that's the one thing I want to avoid completely.
No, ego is good. Believing in yourself. Arrogance, when you think you're better than someone else, the world doesn't need those people.
No,
You're not better than
exactly.
someone else. You may be better at this specific thing. You're not a better person.
Exactly.
You're not better than other people.
No, I never think about that ever.
Good.
So when someone comes to me and asks a question, I want to help them as much as possible. I want to build an empire. That's my word. My favorite. That's my word of the year. Empire. That's what I want to
It's
build.
the only word.
It's the only word. I want to. When I say, I want to conquer, but not in the sense that I
You
want
have to
conquer
hurt
at this-
somebody
I don't
else
want.
to do
No.
it.
I want
No,
to build
no.
an empire that's mine. I want to conquer myself.
Yeah.
I want to conquer the preconceived notion that I had of myself that I couldn't do. I want to prove myself wrong.
Yeah.
You, George, you were up at 5 o'clock. You're in the bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't want to get up, but I got up. I conquered myself. You know what I mean? I want to keep stacking those on top of each other. So, but what?
So those are the proverbial bricks to build this. Because people
Yes.
think empire, they think castle.
No.
He's talking about himself, his body,
At
his
5 o'clock in
mind.
the morning.
So the brick that he just laid isn't a tangible brick. It is a mental brick that he's building this fortress on. So his empire might be up here. You may never see it.
Exactly.
He's not talking about owning the fanciest house, using, taking advantage of people to build his dream, whatever. Up here, this is all going to come back to mindset. His empire is up here, it can't be taken from you when you build a strong one.
It can't. No matter what happens, no matter if everything's taken away from you, you are the person who built. You know what I mean? You already have the experience. So no matter what happens, I could right now go and, let's say I bring my business up to $10 million annually, right? And I do that. And next thing you know, something happens, it's gone to zero. Yeah. Well, the business is gone, but I'm still here. The sleepless nights that I went through, the things that I learned along the way, the papers I learned to write, the reports I learned to do, the things I learned how to read, the images, all of these things are still within me. I can still do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm truly of the belief that nothing is ever a waste of time. Nothing. Because even, let's say you worked, you said you did a business venture for 5 years and then your business partner screwed you over and then you lost it. Well, guess what? The business might be gone, but the experience and that Alex Ramosi said the exact same thing. The experience that you learned along the way, the things that you picked up along the way will always be there. You can transfer that over to something else, and you don't even know.
Rebuild in less amount of time because you won't make the mistakes.
Yes.
What took 5 years, you could repeat in 2.
Exactly.
So this is why the money is not what people are after.
No,
they're after building the experience, building that empire in their head, building something that they can share with others.
And that's why I have so many questions. That's why I love being called Curious George, because once you tell me your experiences, and I can, even though I've not been through them, I can learn from those same things and I know what to avoid. That's what questions are so important. The more important the question you ask, the better the answer will be. So learn how to ask as good a questions as you possibly can.
What a perfect segue into what I was getting at. So, remember how earlier in the show I said we sat down for cigars to have a discussion? Let me pull up, because I screenshot it. Sorry for the delay here.
No worries.
All right.
I also don't know what's going on, so I'm also
He
interested.
doesn't, because I didn't know how I wanted to use this as a message to other people. Most people approach me wanting an outcome, but because they're not there, they don't know how to ask the right question. When someone comes up to me and says, Chris, how do you make money? That's not a question. That's as stupid of a question as me turning around and saying to you, I don't know, how don't you make money?
Exactly.
But because you haven't gotten to where you want to be, you don't understand what variables it takes to get there, so you don't know the actual questions to ask. So I'm never offended. I just tell people the first thing, I'm like, let's sit down, because everything that you think you're going to ask me for, you're going to ask wrong, because you don't actually know where you're going.
Exactly.
This is the first time he reached out after that initial conversation that I had in front of a group of young entrepreneurs. This was his first private message to me for guidance, we'll call it. I'll use the word guidance. Hi, hey Chris, I had a question that needs someone with experience to help me out with, so it's only fair I ask the most experienced businessman I know. A lot of people be like, oh, he's just kissing your ass, blowing smoke up your ass. No, what he's doing is setting the tone of respect for where I am, the knowledge I've acquired over decades. And he didn't ask me, what he follows with isn't, how do I make money? He explains the situation. I'm currently working on some things for my Airbnb business. We've set the tone. He's now removed the thousands of variables for me to answer a question by getting to the point of what we're doing, which requires me to write up a proposal to include some individuals I'm looking to potentially partner with. You've just erased 90% of the questions that I would have to ask you to get to a desired
outcome.
Ability. Like you have the desire to get knowledge from me. If I have to use up my time to get to the right question that you wanted to ask me,
so
we could waste 5 hours.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any tips or guidance as how I should go about this. Don't want to mess this up, as I haven't done this long enough to know too much. What that message, how I interpret that in a situation where I've got over a decade and a half more life on you, doesn't mean I know more, I've just experienced more. What that is it sets the tone of respect. It sets the, we'll call, variables that you've already got covered in your life, and the groundwork for us to start the dialogue without all the other bullshit in it. But the big one there was respect. You didn't come in with this, you owe me your time. You didn't come in with this, like, I may not be able to get across exactly what I'm saying, but the tone of that was, I respect where you are. Can you help me fill in the gaps?
Yes.
For me, I was like, let's tonight. I'm free tonight. Let's sit down and have cigars before the rest of the guys show up. Let's talk. And that's what led into me understanding what it is you were trying to do. I don't know if I've translated that right to the viewing audience, because they may not understand. They don't know how many times I'm asked for advice.
Yes.
So they would not know how many times it's been asked disrespectfully. My time's been abused. I will give 3 hours here so I can try and reach thousands of people, and it may only sink in for 5. But if I have to give 20 people, not have to, if I am lucky enough to get to sit down with 20 people who want my knowledge, but only one of them apply it, you could count all that as the other 19 by 2 or 3 hours each as wasted time.
Yes.
And wasting my time is far worse than wasting my money, because I can make an infinite amount of revenue. I value my time, which was the first thing that I told you guys when we had that group talk, which was, when you get to the point where you're no longer worried about your finances, your currency is your time.
Yes.
Spend it wisely, because every second is one less second you have in your life.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to get with that, is he got to the point, asked if I could help, could we sit down and further this dialogue, but he brought in what he was armed with. I'm armed with this much, I need the next step. That was both respectful and honoring of what I've accomplished, so that it doesn't pat me on the back, but here's someone who's not going to waste my time.
Exactly. And I can even talk about me, myself, the thought process I went through to ask you that question.
Please do.
Yeah, so I've been working on this thing, and I was thinking about, okay, so I'm about to make a business proposal for multi-millionaires now, because they're the people that own the let's say the building that I want to start using for what I'm trying to do.
We're going to segue into real estate for people
Yes.
who want to know, because real estate isn't a sure game for
No.
everybody to make money.
Exactly, it's not.
So listen to his thought
Yes.
process here,
Yes.
because when I finally sat down, I was like, he's exactly who I thought he was from the beginning, because he has not shortcut any steps. And I didn't mean to interrupt this, but I want you to listen to every word that he's saying, because right off the bat you could see that he had done his research. He didn't just go blindly buying something, blindly renting, blindly renting, leasing, with all that kind of stuff, which a lot of people do, saying, show me the money.
No, that's not it.
That's where risk comes in.
It took preparation.
It did.
So yeah, I want to talk about my thought process going into this. So
Sure, fire.
I'm in a situation where, for my Airbnb business, I need to speak with multi-millionaires, and I've never really communicated in a way that's business oriented with them.
So
before.
you respect where they are,
Yes,
and you don't expect them to come down to your vocabulary.
No, exactly.
You want to now sit at the tables, so you're preparing yourself to be worthy of the next level.
Exactly. Exactly.
See how he's respecting the next level. He doesn't say, I'm entitled to their knowledge.
Oh, hell no. Because the reason is, like, they're already so successful. I'm a kid. If I come with this arrogance, they'll be like, this guy doesn't know anything. They'll be able to read off of it. They'll see it right off the bat. And I want to be professional. I want to be respectful. I even told them, like, I spoke with one of the representatives of these, and these people are not even in this country. They are millionaires, and they just invest all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? And I spoke with them, and I told them, hey, like, I'm 23 years old. I'm a child. I am new to this. But trust me, you will never meet somebody as ambitious and hardworking as I am. You will never meet them. And the way I said it,
all the right things.
Yes.
If this isn't how you don't have to be him, but if your mind is not saying exactly what he's saying, I'm sure of where I am right now, but I respect where you are.
Yes.
Look how many times the word respect comes
Yes.
up. Look how he's always trying to level
Yes.
up. This isn't me blowing smoke up his ass. I don't get anything if he does better, or if I make him look good on this podcast. He's saying all the right things to play at the bigger and bigger tables. So if you just hate wealthy people because you think that they think that you're not worthy, no. You have to show
that you are,
with respect that you belong to sit at those.
Exactly.
Belong to sit. You
belong there.
I've been talking too much.
Yeah.
But that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
You
keep going.
You have to earn your seat.
Thank you.
You have to earn it.
It doesn't get handed.
You tell them. So if you to earn it, you don't have to act and present yourself in a way. You tell them, hey.
Yes, do not act. Because
No.
if you act how they think you want them,
They will be able to tell.
Oh
It's
my
it's like
God.
3D chess. It's like they see that you're trying to act as if
Yeah.
what they would want you to be, and they're like, this kid's just acting. He's not genuine. So I told them, I'm a kid. I'm just starting out, but I am the most ambitious person you'll meet because this is who I am, and this is what I want to achieve. And don't take my word for it. Through talking to me and working with me, you will see that, and I will show you who I am. And that's what I told him, and he presented that to this, and he said they would be willing to meet. But back to that proposal.
I'm going to add one more thing that he said that maybe you didn't even catch.
I didn't even catch it.
He's willing to do what it takes first. He's not asking for a favor from them.
No.
Much like when we talked about business, I make my business partners money before I make money.
Yes.
That way there's no doubt in their mind when I take my piece, everybody else
already ate
first.
Everybody's
Thank
already
you.
winning.
That's exactly what he's doing.
You have to be
He's
selfless.
Yes.
You have to be selfless.
Front loading this future investment with
Yes.
your time, your money, your dedication. You're going to travel to them. Sorry if I know the story.
Yes.
So he's going to go to them
Yes.
to make it as convenient for them to
As
do
possible.
business with him. They owe him nothing.
Nothing.
He wants a seat at their table.
Yes.
Do you see how this works? If this is bothering you that I'm telling you that you have to earn your way into higher tables, turn the fucking podcast off because we're not reaching you anyways.
No.
So continue.
Yes. So that's basically what happened. And I spoke with him. I said, this is what I want to do. He said, okay, I need you to, and this is what he said. When we first spoke, it's a whole different thing. But he said, from our previous conversations, I can tell that you're a very ambitious person, and you are somebody that I'm willing to present to the owners to make this deal happen.
You will not make me look bad.
You'll not make me look
if
bad.
I put my word up. Now
Exactly.
you're talking about 2 layers of
Exactly.
respect.
Exactly.
You can represent me as well.
Because I'm going to be presenting you to them.
Yes.
And I know you won't make a fool out of me because that would be wasting their time. And not only would I be making myself look bad, I'd be making him look bad by proxy for letting me even speak with them. So I had to put myself in a position where I had to earn it, but I had to speak like I deserved it through my actions because you can tell genuine confidence or fake confidence. So I asked him, he said, yes, draw me up a proposal. I need you to send me a proposal, and then I'll if I like the proposal and it's good and I think it's something that I can bring to them, I will bring to them. But if there's something you need to work on, I will tell you what you need to work on before you do that. And as soon as that happened,
now you got a collaboration for betterment.
Exactly.
None of that sounded like greed to me.
No.
Sounds like mentorship.
Wow.
Yes.
Love it.
It's honestly, the way I see it is like, I don't want to say it like this, but it's probably the best way to say it.
Just say it how
Life
it
is a
is.
game of chess. Life is a game of chess, and you have to put pieces in place in a way that gives you the best outcome because you're dealt with so many cards, right? Everyone's dealt with different cards. It's not wishing that you had a better card. It's wishing that you can be the best with the cards that you're dealt
Playing
with.
the hand you're dealt.
Exactly. Just be the best with the cards that you're dealt with. So I'm like, okay, what do I have to do just so I have the highest chance of receiving what I need to achieve? So when he said that, I'm like, okay, now I'm in a position where I am some kid in Canada. These people are in Germany. Millionaires. They're probably $1 billion corporation, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know how big they're, but I do know that they have very big companies. And this is just nothing to them, just a small piece of nothing to them. I'm going to be reaching out to them. I'm going to be taking up their time. I need to put myself in a position where I am worth them taking time out of their day to even read the things that I want to
Talking about a dollar value to you right now? Hell no. What did he say? I'm using their time.
It's time. Money for them is nothing. It's time. If they spend 10 minutes and 20 minutes and they realize that I was a waste of their time, they'll probably fire the person that introduced me to them. Because their time.
Yes.
It's their time that's the most important. So if they're going to read this, they have to know that I'm someone who's genuine and who knows what he wants. And the biggest thing that I've seen, especially, and that's another thing, when you're talking to somebody, especially when you want to learn from them, and especially when you make a business proposal, you have to first figure out what their pain points are, what their need is, what problem you want to solve for them. And I realized that
you can't come to the table with everything that benefits you. 'Cause
you
then
can't.
You're like, thank you. Why?
No, you
it's
can't.
not my job to make your life
exactly.
better.
Who are you? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, okay,
you should be taking the smallest cut if
Yes.
it's of your interest. So you
Exactly.
better make this sound like I'm ready to nut and roll over.
Exactly.
And you can have what's left.
Exactly. And based off what they told me, and they hinted these things out, but they never said it explicitly. And that's where sales come into perspective. Because in sales, what you're doing is when someone's buying a car, they're telling you why they need a car. And you're taking you're not straight up asking them, you're taking all these little pieces of information, and then you're formulating it and using back at them, you know what I mean, in a way that helps them solve their problem. The biggest problem was trust. They didn't trust anybody in this country. They didn't have somebody that could trust, that they could do business with in this country. Because the last people they partnered with, both people they partnered with, ended up essentially just
Screwing them over.
exactly everybody. So the biggest thing for them was trust. So I kept relaying it back. That's someone you can trust. I'm someone you can trust. Don't trust me. Don't use my words. Listen to my actions.
I will front load my efforts
exactly
to prove to you I can get something on the
So
back end after you win.
after you win. So I even
Yes.
said, I know that you've been in this situation before. As a show of good faith, I am willing to fly over at no expense to you to meet with either you or your business partners, or both if I have to fly out twice, and you guys could meet me, speak with me, ask me anything, and you can understand who I am and whether you want to go into partnership with me. Even if you don't, it'll be worth it, because I want to show you that I am who I say that I am. You know what I mean? And it's nothing that I could have ever imagined just flying out just for a business meeting. Ever.
Welcome to my world.
But sometimes there's things you got to do to achieve the things you want to do.
You're going to get more used to that.
Ex-
Sometimes
Oh, I
when
want
I
to.
tell
Can't wait for
people
it.
that I'm going for lunch in another country, they think I'm bragging. Like, no, I got things I'd rather be doing right now, but this
Exactly.
is
Important.
required.
Yes.
So if it happens on a private jet or whatever it is, other people are like, oh my God, that's so this and that. No, it's a fact of business.
Yes.
You have to be in other places at other times
Yes.
if you want to do big corporate business.
Yes. Walls don't exist.
Walls
There's
do
no
not
walls. The
exist.
country of Canada is. People think that, why are you doing business? Like, even when I started my business in Calgary, they're like, why are you doing it in Calgary? Why not Edmonton?
So just so you know, that's 3 hours away from Edmonton. That is more of a risk because you can't be.
I can't be there all the time. So
Yeah.
things can happen there. And if something happens that needs my attention now, I'm not there to take care of it. So that's
Or
what
it
people-
gets more expensive if you have to pay someone who's there to do
Exactly.
it.
So that's a risk that people
All
talk about.
more variables that
Yes.
you have to know. You can't just get into business.
No.
Oh,
there's-
they did it. I'll do it too.
No, it's not that
Oh,
simple.
business is an 8-hour day. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I've spent 20 hours working on these business too before I even got it launched. But, and essentially that's what happened. So I spoke with him, and then he said, you know what, draw a proposal. And then that's where it come back to, okay, now I have to drop this proposal to intrigue very successful people. Okay, I don't know how to draw a proposal. I've never done a proposal before. Okay, who do I now have to go to? Who can I ask? Who can help me in this situation? How many people do I know that are very successful? Very few. 1 or 2 people max. But who's successful in business? Okay, Chris is successful in business. And then something in the back of my mind, you don't want to waste his, something said in the back of my mind, you don't want to waste his time. Why would he help you out? That's the little bitch voice. What I want to say. That's the voice that's so scared of you making the moves that you want to make. It stops you every single time. You want to do something like, what if this? What if that? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And in the back of my mind, just the fact that I had that thought that, oh, you shouldn't even ask him. I'm definitely gonna gonna ask him. Now, who knows what's gonna happen? 2 things are gonna happen. He'll either say yes or just say no. If he says no, I guess I have to find another way to do it. But if he says yes, guess what? Now I have someone who has more experience than me to ask me. So let me do it anyways. I don't know what's going to come out of this, but let me just try. So I literally picked up my phone, and in my head I'm like, okay, how am I going to script this? Why would I script anything? Let me just be myself.
Straight to the point.
If I am meant to achieve this, and this is meant to be successful, the only thing I can do is tell my truth. That's the only thing I can do.
If you have to embellish it, then you don't actually believe it's a good thing.
And then
if
you don't
have to make it sound
and then you don't
better.
deserve it.
Exactly.
If you have to act and maneuver and find different tips and tricks to get what you need to get, that means you didn't deserve it. You deserve what you truly desire. With the true intentions, you will get it. So I went on my phone and said, hey, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Let me just start typing. Hey, Chris. And they just went. And then I read it over. I didn't even read it over. I'm like, okay, I sent this. No spelling errors. Okay, send. And then now I've done my part. I will see what life has intended for me.
And just to be clear, it was all text. There was no fucking emojis. There's no LOL.
No.
There's none of that shit. Because you know what that stuff actually means? And this is a side tangent on mindset. When you have to put LOL, a smiling emoji or something like that, it's because you're not confident in what you're sending. You're worried that it might be taken the wrong way.
Yes.
So you add something else to try and diffuse. Well, I can't put tone, so I'll put LOL.
Yes.
Anyone serious is going to be like, this person is not serious.
This kid is a child.
Exactly, because if you put in the right variables, there is no tone.
No.
1 + 1 is 2.
That's it.
Whether I say 1 + 1 is 2 or 1 + 1 is fucking 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It does not need to be embellished.
No.
Someone who's in business does not look for tone. Weak people, average people, well, it's not what you said, it was how you said it. Good. Sit at the 5-figure tables, the adults are talking.
Exactly.
He crafted that perfectly. It was not sugar coated. It was nothing.
Straight
it was
to the point.
Yeah, he didn't add anything to try and make it sound better than it was. These are the variables I'm working with. I'm missing the blocks, I think I'm missing the blocks to gauge my dialogue with how someone up here wants to receive a proposal. Cool.
Yes.
Now I know the 1% information you need is how to deliver the message you already have. You didn't ask me to build the message. You didn't ask me to vouch for you.
No.
All you asked for was the ability to speak at their level.
Yes.
Cool. We can have that dialogue.
And the first thing you told me was, how are they going to benefit from it? That's he said put that in your proposal. How do they benefit? That's what you asked me before we even said that. Like, how would they benefit from this situation? And I gave you different factors, and that me speaking with you about it helped me articulate my point better to them. And actually, fun fact, he actually just messaged me right before this podcast.
Nice.
Saying what you sent me, I thought I would have to come back and fix everything up and ask you to do. What you sent me was very passionate. It's now very busy in Hong Kong. It's Q4, so our business is going to be extremely busy. What you sent me was perfect. It was very passionate. I'm going to send this over to them and then see what they say. So, and that's the best news I could have received.
Absolutely.
The best news, because he said this was passionate. I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted to present, and he received it with no malintention, with nothing else. He received it exactly how I wanted it to be sent.
He didn't have to interpret a bunch of sugar
He
coating
just
and clouds and
exactly.
Care Bears
Straight
and
to the
shit
point.
like that.
Straight to the point.
Because those people know that the more fluff you put in, the less substance you have.
Exactly.
You put substance down, they don't have to guess.
No, they just know.
Yeah.
So that was my thought process, and I'm grateful for how it went. But you want to talk about real estate?
We're gonna have to do this really quick because we actually got to be out of here shortly.
Okay.
Or is this something we should do in a future podcast?
I think so.
Let's do a future podcast.
That's a whole nother
'cause
discussion.
This is an hour and a half. This is going to take producer Mac a lot of time to cut up. But I don't like when it always comes back like I'm talking from a point where I'm always trying to prove myself right. Because one, I don't give a shit what anybody watching thinks. I don't care how harsh that is. I'm here to deliver a message. I don't care if it changes one person's mind or 1,000. If someone else makes their life better because of these podcasts, that makes me happy, because that's a stage in my life where I'm at. I don't wake up and say, how much money can I make today? How much revenue can I generate today? I want to know how I can make the world a better place.
How many people can receive my information and have
Exactly.
their
And
lives
if it's
change
only
because
one,
of it?
Cool. Maybe we didn't come at it from the right approach today, but I like the energy that you used. And what I'm getting at is I'm almost always right when I ask guests to come on, because I don't have to tell you what to say. We don't script any of this.
No.
The people with the right mindsets that other people should really hear, not social media bullshit about liking, resharing, and all that. The hard news that people need to hear, you were willing to express very passionately, like the words you used. And I think a lot of people will get that message, because I do it from just a straightforward, chisel it into stone approach. Not everyone wants that.
There's different ways to approach truth. And
Yes.
I want to call it truth. There's different ways to approach it, right?
Yeah.
And everyone has
truth is truth.
Yes.
Right and wrong is subjective based on your morals, ethics, and upbringing.
Exactly.
Truth is truth.
Truth is truth.
And
Work hard with the right mindset.
I may
you'll
not
achieve it.
deliver it with my wording. Doesn't mean it's not true, but the way you come at it, whether it's your age, your experience, or the way you've dealt with the world, might be the way that 10 more people
Exactly.
take a beauty out of what's
And we're
been
still talking about the exact same things, and
Exactly.
we're still agreeing upon everything. We're getting to the same finish line, the same outcome,
Yeah.
in just two different ways. And that's the beautiful thing about success. No matter where you are or the way you say it, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be successful doing anything. You know what I mean? You could be successful doing anything as long as you have the same principles. And I don't want to say philosophy, because some people can have different philosophies, but principles. As long as we can have different philosophies and different arguments about anything, but when it comes to this specific topic, even though we use different words to get to the same finish line, we're talking about the same things. It gives the same outcome. It gives the same feeling inside. You know what I mean?
And winning is winning.
Yes.
As long as you're not hurting someone else to get there. Winning, success, all these words mean different things to different people. But whatever your target is, because we don't use the word goals, get as many visual, mental, environmental cues and stimuli as you can, because
Yes, that's
one
huge.
person, if you just copy what one person did, you're that robot or you're that clone. What is special about you? If you want success, it has to be the best version of you,
Yes.
not someone else as a clone. Because guess what? Everyone who's been emulated, the people who try and do it fail because they try and do word for word what that person
Yes.
did. And you can't, because their words were how they tried to explain what they did. The passion they felt along the way is not something
It's
you
theirs
can,
alone.
Exactly.
You can't take that.
It means nothing to you. Words are just the descriptor, but what makes you put in, this is where the illusion that wealthy people don't deserve to be there because I can't get there. If you think that wealthy people, successful people, and entrepreneurs did it in 8 hours just because that's the effort you put in, you're already not ready to play at their level. Those people are not driven by the paycheck. They're not driven by greed. They're driven by something that you won't understand unless you also have that.
Exactly.
They will put in 20 hours a day, and on paper it's failing every day until the one moment that it hits so big that the world takes notice.
Exactly.
It wasn't overnight. Nothing was overnight. You just saw the result that you either love or hate overnight.
And to add to that, that's why when people say, "Oh, I'm trying to be like you," I hate that so much. When people say, "I want to be like you," I'm trying to be like you, I hate that, because
I would love to emulate your best traits are a better way to say that.
exactly.
Don't say you want to be like me.
You don't want to be like me because we're too different. Even if, let's say you try to be like me, you would fail because you're not you. You're not unique. There's already a me out there. I'm here. If you're trying to be me better than me, you will lose because you're acting. I'm just being me.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? What I tell them, don't say you want to be like me. Say you want to be like you, the best version of you.
Absolutely.
Imagine the best version of you. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to take traits from me, maybe good traits, hopefully good traits from me, and use that, because you can probably just, you being yourself can surpass who I am now.
And you're not jealous of those
I'm not
people.
jealous of it. I'm happy because then now that see you being the best version of yourself, I'm like, well, he's doing it. Okay, what can I learn from this now? Now we're challenging each other. And I have a very good friend of mine. We do that all the time. We challenge each other. Me being the best version of myself, him being the best version of himself. As I see him growing, I'm like, damn, like he used to be here, now he's here, and he surpassed me. Okay, now what do I have to do to be the best version of myself? And then he sees that, and then we just feed off of each other, and that's the energy. And then we grow together.
And individually, you are increasing the value of your group or your community.
Yes.
By striving to be the best version of you, not in competition with someone else, but just seeing someone else better themselves. It will inspire you
Something
to better
in you.
You, and that brings up the because what do they say?
Yes.
You're the sum of the
5
average of the 5 people you sit with. That may
Yes.
be 4 people, that may be 8 people, but if the average
Is increasing
is
all the time.
increasing, that
Guess what?
average is phenomenal.
Yes, yes.
Now we're going back to that word average
Yes.
in a positive connotation.
exactly.
Because being average of normal
And then being
does
average
not
of-
yield anything.
yes.
But being average
Of the
a
elite.
table of that's not so goddamn bad.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. George, really
dude.
appreciate you
No
being
worries,
on the
man.
show. We
Anytime.
will do this again because I want to get more into real estate. So, I hope you guys have learned a lot. George is obviously much more emphatic, positive. Well, I'm positive as well,
Yes,
but I
you
don't
are.
come across like that. But he's very passionate in what he delivers at the age of only 23. So what if you could take one thing from this, what should it be? You don't have to be an old fucker like me to understand achievements and success. These people deliver on their promises to themselves every damn day. They're going to have good days, they're going to have bad days,
Yes.
but the average of their experiences and knowledge is going to be more all the time. So we're going to cut this here.
Yes.
For the All I Ever Wanted podcast, for George, for producer Mac,
Thanks, guys.
I'm Chris. We are out of here.
All right, until next time.
Ciao.
Cheers. Was it?
I thought we'd be able to rip through it in half.
I'm not a millionaire, right? Not yet, anyways. And I haven't reached the level of success that I want to reach, but I do want to say that things are possible, right? I've seen it firsthand. I've met people firsthand who set out for a goal that they thought was crazy. And if your goals aren't crazy and they don't scare you, they're not big enough. You know what I mean? There's levels to these levels. That's what has been said, but it's true. Every single time that you achieve something, you're giving yourself proof that you can do more. When I left the dealership, I'm like, well, I've already achieved success at where I was before. I'm going to use this as proof that the next step will be even greater because I can do it, because I thought I can do this and I accomplished it. And you're stacking proof. And that's what life should be about. No matter what you want to do, don't let anything stop you. Try it. You fail, you know that, okay, these are the things that I shouldn't be doing, especially when you're young. When you're young, you should take as many risks as possible. Because at the other side of the risk is gratefulness that you did it, is understanding that things are possible.